Today I'm here to talk about the California Clean Energy and Climate Change Gap Analysis Project. The scope includes clean energy and climate change adaptation and resilience, and I really want to emphasize that this study and participation questionnaire is for all California Native American tribes, including those without federal recognition or land holdings. The primary goal of the California Tribal Gap Analysis is to identify the priorities, needs, and barriers of tribes in the areas of clean energy and climate change adaptation and resilience. Through the process of identifying those priorities, needs, and barriers, we're going to provide recommendations for future state programs, funding, technical assistance, and other resources to address the needs that have been identified by tribes. The project itself is going to be primarily and predominantly informed and shaped by tribal input, which is going to be why tribal participation is going to be key. But another purpose of this project is to advance collaboration and build relationships between the tribes and the state. The key benefit for tribes is to inform future state clean energy and climate change programs for tribes, including grant funding, including technical assistance, including really the resources that tribes identify to address those needs. Tribes are going to share where the stumbling blocks are, what their recommendations are, and that information will then be brought to the agencies and legislators to be able to develop the needed programs and resources. Another key benefit is to develop and make available a database of available clean energy and climate change funding resources and other opportunities for California tribes. We have a database at about 100 resources right now, and we're continuing to build it. Each tribe that participates will directly receive a copy of this, including any updates to this database as we proceed. The key steps in this project are first preparing the draft of the tribal questionnaire, which was completed last fall, and then we piloted the draft tribal questionnaire with 9 tribes over the winter and completed that in January. The tribal questionnaires themselves are the primary sources of information for this analysis, but there is some secondary research that's being conducted as well. One source of information for that secondary research is coming through tribal surveying agencies and organizations such as CEC, CPUC, Strategic Growth Council, but reaching out to all state agencies and even federal agencies and other organizations that are serving tribes to better understand what programs they have available or may be developing to serve tribes in these areas to help tribes advance their goals and meet their needs. We're also going to be identifying and obtaining secondary information and data sets to complement that primary information that's coming from tribes to the questionnaire. Central point of this project is to administer and to get responses from tribes through this questionnaire. Tribes that participate will receive a copy of their response and the resources database I mentioned. There may be some follow-up participants for clarification as needed, although we've tried to design the questionnaire to minimize the need to conduct any participant follow-up regarding the responses to the questionnaire. There will be other opportunities for tribes to provide feedback on the draft report. The analysis will be conducted late summer through the fall, and then a draft report based on that analysis and the findings will be completed and released for feedback by the winter of 2021, and with the final report for this project being released by the spring of 2022. This project is being conducted with funding from the California Energy Commission that's been flowed through to the California Strategic Growth Council. They make up the state committee. The contractor team is being led by Prosper Sustainably. Shasta Gone is also part of our team as an independent contractor. GC Green, led by Norfolk Rancheria tribal member Liz Perez, who is president, founder, and a veteran as part of our team. Dustin Jolly from R Energy. He was an engineer who did some work with the Yurok tribe in the past. And our data analysis is primarily going to be conducted by the UCLA Luskin Center. And Lolly Lim has been the primary person we've been working with from UCLA. So as I mentioned, this questionnaire is really the focal point of this project. Getting tribal participation in this questionnaire is going to be key to gathering this information and strengthening this analysis and the findings and recommendations as much as possible. The questionnaire is, I think, just under 40 questions total, beginning with some basic general questions about each tribe that's participating. Then it's going to get into the specific topics. First, focusing on clean energy priorities, activities, and needs. There are 3 subtopics under clean energy that there will be a series of questions that will first focus on the residential sector, then the government sector, then the commercial sector. The first subtopic is going to be energy efficiency. The second subtopic is renewable energy and energy storage. And the third subtopic under clean energy is clean transportation. Then the questionnaire moves into a series of climate change priorities, activities, and needs related questions in the areas of climate change adaptation and resilience. Finally, there's a series of questions focused on the general gaps and recommendations for tribal clean energy and climate change priorities, activities, and needs. There are open-ended questions throughout where we really want tribes to share anything and everything they want to share to help us better understand and the state better understand where priorities, needs, activities, barriers, challenges, whatever needs to be communicated to help tribes get to where they want to go in the areas of clean energy and climate change. The ideal participants for the questionnaire from each tribe are one or more authorized representatives that can address all applicable topics in sectors. So I say all applicable because depending on the tribe, one or more of the residential, government, or business sectors may or may not be applicable. The topics, as I've stated, are clean energy with the subtopics in climate change. Potential participants could include tribal leaders, staff, representatives, tribal council members, those from tribal administration, environmental, planning, housing, economic development, cultural, emergency planning, and tribal businesses. The one thing that's going to be probably more challenging is to get tribal business representation to participate in these questionnaires and provide input and feedback. In some cases, a single person may be able to represent all topics in all sectors. In other tribes, there may be several people that need to be involved, and there may be some gaps. So there's only one questionnaire to be completed by each tribe. The questionnaires are being administered through SurveyMonkey, and a customized link is going to be created for each tribe that participates. For tribes that are going to do a self-administered questionnaire and it involves 2 or more representatives, there'll need to be some internal coordination that will support as much as possible. So the 2 options for completing the questionnaire are going to be a guided questionnaire where a contractor team member, either likely myself, Angie, or Shasta, will be there to guide you through the questionnaire. We recommend this to be able to answer questions, provide clarifications without influencing any responses, and to be there for any technical support that's needed. We're going to request a 2-hour block of time to be set aside for the questionnaire to be taken through a web conference or teleconference meeting. And we'll be sending a PDF copy of the questionnaire in advance, but the questionnaire ultimately will be completed through SurveyMonkey. For the self-administered questionnaires, we'll provide the customized link and some instruction and guidance upon request. And if the tribe decides they want to do a self-administer, but then changes their mind and wants to do a guided questionnaire, we can always switch, actually one way or the other. We're estimating based on the pilot we did with the 9 tribes that it's going to take an hour to 2 or potentially more. Found that with one participant, it's been 1 hour or less to take the questionnaire. And then with 2 or more participants, then it's been an hour and a half to 2 or more hours, just because there's a lot more discussion that's going on. These time estimates are based on the guided questionnaire pilots we conducted and do not include any prior internal research, which is only necessary if desired by the tribe to do. We're not expecting 100% accuracy in the responses to the questionnaire. The responses to these questions are going to be inherently subjective questions. They're not extremely detailed. The responses are somewhat generalized. And also, I just want to emphasize it's not an evaluation of tribal performance either. We're just asking those to participate to make the best response and not to necessarily under or overrepresent answers one way or the other. In the follow-up, we'll provide a copy of the questionnaire responses, the latest version of the assistance programs database, and may follow up as needed. To register to complete the questionnaire, you can either go to caltribalgapanalysis.org, and there's a form on there, or you can directly link to this form, or you can just email me directly. I just put this here to emphasize kind of the ideal participants when you're thinking through about who you may want to have in the loop, and that can always change. That is an overview. If you're interested, please just email me or fill out the form, and we can get the ball rolling to start getting this coordinated, or contact me for questions.